And then when we have done the needs identification or needs assessment, then it will drive the actions and the plans that we need to put in place to get those needs met. And mind you, whilst we are doing spirit, I'm telling you, if all the spirit comes on you, and when it rains, the people are wet, the spirit will leave them with the rain. Yes. But when they come to an ambient environment, you find that sometimes people closer, they don't want to go home. So you want to invest in knowing exactly what do we want to do. Are we interested in only creating space for service or creating other space that we can leverage on as a church or church organization? I'm happy that the chairman is here. When you look at the SU Towers, when you think of the building that was sitting there and the value of the land, I'm sure the value of the building there, will not be sufficient even to pay maybe the cost of demolishing it, to put up the SU structure. But because of strategic thinking, now you have something in place that is giving value for money. So that means that the organization is getting the best from the land and still have the space that they need for their operations. And I'm also talking about the people. I said the leaders and the laity. Let us leverage on their ability. There are people who also have exposure, etc. Let's leverage on them, but let them not have a chokehold on the church. Unfortunately, some of us, when we know that, everything, that kind of mindset, it is dangerous. Let us be available, but let us not let anybody have a chokehold on the church's strategy and its development. And then I said the land that is already either developed, identified, or under the search. Sometimes you have the land and you are thinking about what to do. Sometimes you have a plan and you are looking for the land to do the plan. So you see, it can go both ways. Some people have don't even own one plot. But in their minds, they have built 10 mansions. Because they have built the thing in their mind, they will be looking for the land. Another person has the land, but has nothing in their mind. So the land will be there, and it will be breeding rodents and reptiles. Then project scoping. And I'm happy the architect and the engineer have spoken a lot about this. So I'm talking about the design, costing, the phasing of projects. Some projects are very nice to do, but you cannot do them in one phase, because of financial and other considerations. So how do you phase the projects? That's why we need to have the right professionals who will help us. So I'm separating the fanciful from the functional. As pastors and church leaders, say, this thing, I went to a certain place. I went to Brazil and I saw this thing. It was so beautiful, so we must do the same thing here. There's a church building in Tamale. I think it's a college church. When you approach Tamale, that's where we used to go when we were living in Tamale. It's a college, it's a college church. So it's very beautiful, very simple design there. They've cut the roof, a slash design like an up-ended triangle. Anyone who goes to Thai can see. Very beautiful. I've seen a similar one. Is it at Akosomo also? Very, very beautiful design. That is, in a very hot environment, it is very appropriate. In another environment, it may not be the best. You get me? So certain things might be very nice, very fanciful, but are they functional for your use? And also, I'm saying about life cycle operational consideration. I was not saying much because my sister will come to talk about that. Everything you do in property, think to the end. Once you have invested in it, know you are committed to maintaining and managing it. And also, the fifth point, the wealth of competent professionals, which has already been well articulated, the legal, the engineering, the architectural, the surveying, and all the other professionals who must come to work on your project. Now, because of IT and the rest, even the quality of electrical and electronic engineers that you take on a project is critical. Because now everything is being done through the network and the rest. How do you design and build your property in such a manner that will be in pace, keep pace with the times? And then the procurement of construction. This is where churches, we get into difficulty. You may have a church member who is a builder. And this person say, oh, I'm offering my services, to help build. It is nice. But sometimes it turns out to be more expensive for the church than if they went through a competitive process of bidding so that you could hold the feet of the contractor to the fire. But it's like this, a church member, very committed member, then you see me, money. So, so it's as if you are always on the defensive. I think that as much as possible, let us make sure that we have gone through the process of acquiring a builder professionally. When we do that, any help is welcome, but we can hold people responsible, and then we save time and we save money. Then also the funds, I'll come to the funds. So commission and post-completion management, now the funds. Project funds. The church or church organization must think of how they want to finance certain kinds of projects. And for most of us, the obvious one is the project fund. Maybe we are building our cathedral. So there's nothing wrong if the leadership decide to set up a fund and commit, to investing that fund so that when you get ready, at least you have something to take off. And one thing I've come to notice about church members too is that when they say that the leaders have kept the money very well and creatively, and they realize for this project we are going to need, say, $2 million. But over the past few years, we have been able to put around $750,000. So, all of a sudden, enthusiasm is high because people see that there's seriousness. So we must also think about that. And then what we also did, allocating percentages from every revenue of the church. This is easier to declare, but very difficult to implement. Church treasurers, forgive me, but I'm privileged speaking as an MP. Normally, when you have to put money in dedicated funds, we are all church leaders, you will find that the finance people are very, very chiseled. They know that, yes, 10%, 5% must go into this. But if you don't monitor and push, you will not get it done. And you see, a lot of, in our profession, because of this, like you are setting up a sinking fund, you are thinking that tomorrow or next 5 years, we are going to need so much to do this. So let us start saving towards it. But some of these people think that, when it is time, we'll do it for that year's budget. So when that year we are having challenges, then we cannot do what we ought to do. And they're also talking about sweat contribution by built environment professionals. Sometimes some of these people might help us take off by providing ideas, suggestions that we would normally have paid outsiders to do. But having said that, I've already caveated that by saying that don't let anyone have a chokehold on the development of the church's properties. Otherwise, the best intentions will come aground. And then the project champions or seed sowers. Some churches, I'm sure maybe your church may have done some before. Sometimes they say, we want some people who will pay for the foundation. Some people want to say, I paid to lay the foundation. But all these things will happen when the people see there's integrity and there's competence and commitment at the top. Our challenges sometimes come because people see we are wasteful, and then when they hear that we want money, they think it's another opportunity for us to waste. So we can look at that and also do it. I know of instances where some people said, as far we'll make sure that we tile all the auditorium. So that maybe a group of people took it upon themselves to do it. That's also part of providing the funding. But the important thing is that let us put in place structures and systems so that we can do the project. And I've come to the first thing, which is the loan, you shall borrow from none. So we think that for most of us Christians, say, hey, the church to take a loan. No, they won't do it. So you have a church project that is taking 10 years to complete, 15 years to complete. And you have structural members which are exposed to the elements, and you are not. I think that let us have a good plan, let us have a structure, and then if we need to take a loan to fill in the deficit, a banker is here, take the loan and rather deal with the periodic payments which you can manage. In that case, you have the building or the structure for use, and then you also avoid all the avoidable delays that cost the project to maybe 10 times more than what you started with. You go to a funeral now in our hometowns, immediately they see the crowd, they'll be building fund collection. They don't know that people have also anticipated that, so they have divided their collection. And then I'm talking about the development partners. Like I talk about the mixed development. And members, I would like us as church leaders to think carefully about this. Anytime we are acquiring any land, let us, not be only narrow-minded about the church use. Usually, church, like if there's a land use plan depicting a site for civic and religious, whatever, there may be other adjoining land for other uses. If we can, let us also be bold, acquire those ones as well. Acquire to the left and the right and front and back, so that you can have an enclave that is virtually under your control. So you can have a Methodist or whatever church here, and you can have businesses all around that the church either owns or has a considerable stake in it. Because we must move to a stage where the church will have assets that are income generating by themselves, so that we can take care of the needs of the church for generations. In the past, when we were growing up, when they had ordained a Kali priest, very soon you see the father driving a car. And so the cars, you see this inscription, MIVA, M-I-V-A. What does MIVA mean? Misero Vehicle Association. Ordinary workers in Europe who are carless and believe that the word must go, must reach the world. Every month they take maybe 10 euro here, 50 euro, 100 euro, over thousands of workers into a fund. So it means that every month they can buy maybe 10 cars and send it to the, developing world for the church to use to reach the unreached. So can we as a church also think of means by which we can get our members to commit part of our money apart from the tithes also to reaching the unreached? So there can be a generation of people who will decide that the next branches of the church, we will make sure that at least the land acquisition, we are going to pay for it. And they will form themselves into a unit and they work towards that dream. And the last thing, the development partners, which I've already hinted, because they are going to develop something on our land, and in return for that, we also do this. But these agreements must be professionally negotiated and signed on so that there will be no cheating on either side. The most painful thing is to be cheated by a fellow Christian. You don't know this matter. Should we go to church? Should we go to court, or not? And there's some pitfalls to avoid. The glass cathedral syndrome. I've used that to depict where we spend so much money on a grandiose project. At the end of the day, when we finish, everybody is exhausted. We have even lost interest in the faith. It can happen, to us. Because now when you look around, we say we are building very nice buildings, but we should also have that in mind. Let us be careful, lest we exhaust the goodwill of our members. Then, two, the overbearing know-all church leader. I think it has been already addressed. Sometimes the pastors, we think we know, so we push our way down and we block things. And then we sacrifice long-term advantages for short-term gains. That can also be a problem. And then the last is the noise pollution, which I'm very passionate about, because I can see that, for instance, if you are in a place like this, nobody can come and say you are making noise, because you are making noise within a controlled environment. So that's what I can say for now. Thank you very much.